What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today we have a bald fade with a comb over on the top. This is the first time I've ever cut this client's hair, and it's a bit grown out, so I want to make sure that his hair is laying in the direction that it naturally wants to go. So I always comb with the way that the hair is falling. I'm never trying to fight against it. And then I start debulking here with a number 3, and I'm just coming straight off of his head. I'm not flicking out or doing a C stroke or anything like that. The shape of the guard is doing the work. Those teeth on the guards are shaped the way that they are so that it helps you fade into longer hair. The shape of the guard is gonna ride off of the side of his head, and it's gonna create somewhat of a fade for you already. So I'm just going to finish debulking here, and my next step is taking the 5-0 on my Andy Supra, and I'm creating my first initial bald line, and I'm keeping the line parallel with the number 3 on the top so that the fade comes out consistent and even all around the head. And this line doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but keep it somewhat neat. You don't want it to be all over the place. So after that, I come right behind it with my trimmers. And I have a deep tooth blade on these skeletons because I like the way that it feeds through bulk better. I have 2 trimmers, one with this blade and one with just the regular graphite blade that I use for lining. So just continue until all that area is clear, and then I'm going to come behind with my shaver. And I'm not going all the way up to that line that I created. I want to leave a little bit of hair there, a little bit of stubble, so that I'm not creating a harsh line that's going to be more difficult to take out. So now we get into the fading process. The first step is going to be the blade open on whatever clipper you're using, and I go up about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to keep that same line consistent. Everything is going to be in the same shape so that it follows the shape of the head so that the fade is even. And then I'm going to continue to fade down. So I start with the blade open, I notch it down 2 notches to halfway, and then I notch it all the way closed, and as you can see, it starts to fade out. And then I'll just come back in and detail it a little bit and use my eye and just flick the lever to where I see that it needs to be. So once you get that area faded to where you think it's good to move on, the next step that I do is the 1 open. And anytime that I'm fading, I always go open to close. I know a lot of people fade up, but I just feel this is more comfortable for me. So that first step right there was open, and now I have my 1 closed. And the little faint line that's going to leave, I'll come right behind this with my half guard halfway open. And I'll use the corners right here just like that and tap it, and then I'll close it up all the way and continue using the corners. And if you notice right above my hand right there, there's still a dark line. So I'm going to come up a little bit with that half guard, but I want to go up a little higher, so I'll put my 1 back on because I know the hair above that is a little bit longer, so I don't want to cut it too short. It's not really doing much, so I'm going to take my blade open, and I'm just going to use the corners of the blade to just kind of tap at that area. And as you can see, it lightened it up pretty nicely. So that's important. You kind of want to use your eye and look in these areas after you go through your process because the detail is super important. That's where the fade comes together. So the next step, I'm going to come in here with my 1.5, same thing, open to close. And again, it's going to leave a faint line, so I'm going to come right behind it with the 1 guard again open and just corner work and take that line out. But it fades out super simple. Like, these steps are super simple. You could follow them along really easily, and they definitely show results. So as you can see, the fade's starting to come together here. So once I finished this up, I was actually going to line him right here just to put my work into a frame, but I wasn't liking how much hair was actually on that side, so I brushed it all down again, and I'm just trying to part it so that it's even. I noticed all this hair right there was in the top, but it wants to come down. So I'm going to wet the hair, I'm going to re-section it, and then I'm going to come with a metal 3.5, and I'm just going to kind of take this little section out because I just feel like it's going to give the haircut a better shape, and it's not going to be sticking up all over the place when it starts growing out and him struggling to keep it styled. Alright, so now that's done, I'm gonna throw a line here just to see my work. Sometimes when you line it up, you'll see more imperfection. So I line it up here, and right to the right of the trimmer, there's a line there that I see. So I'm coming right back with my number 1, and I'm just gonna go over it, and I'm gonna detail it and just kind of remove that line a little bit. It's super important to continue detailing and to continue looking at your haircut and double checking your work. There's still a line that I see there, so I'm gonna end up taking my 1.5 as well and just debulking it a little bit more. For this other side, I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. It's the same steps, but I just started with the metal 3.5 because that's what I did on the other side. So while this goes through here right now, I just want to throw in here that this is my first time ever recording through a full haircut and editing. So my angles are pretty bad right now. You can't really even see the tools that I'm using, but with time it's going to get better. I'm going to keep working on it and bettering myself and just grow from the process. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys stick through it with me until this starts being more natural to me, and I can start showcasing more of what I'm capable of. So we're back, and what I'm doing now is just clipping the hair up out of the way for the lineup on this side, and I'm just running my 3.5 to clear some more of that bulk that I noticed was still there. So when I come right here with the trimmer, it's going to leave a sharp line. And now we're going to come and start prepping the top to trim. So he only wants to take about 1/2 inch or so, I would say. He wants to leave most of the length. So I'm just going to come right here to the front, establish my first guide, and just work my way back. I usually come about 3 or 4 sections depending on how big the person's head is, and then I'll brush everything forward again, work my way to the next section, get my guide from the first one, and just same thing, just work back. And then it's important here to bring the hair over to the side so that you connect the top to the sides. And I can't stress this enough, learn how to use your shears, because you want to be as versatile as you possibly can. Of course, the fade work and the clipper work is important. I can't say that it's not, but the shear work is equally just as important. So learn how to use these tools. So I'm coming in here with some Tomb 45 shave gel. This is the limited edition from CT Expo a few years back. And then I'm going to start the lineup. And I usually start in the corners here, and then I'll come to the C-cup area and just kind of even it out, because his isn't really lined up, so I'm not really trying to make a deep C-cup. I'm just taking the hairs off. For the top lineup, I go with the grain first, and then I determine if I have to go against the grain if it's not short enough. But for his case, it was okay. So I'm going to come in here with some product. I believe it's some gel, I want to say, gummy gel maybe. And it's very important to start from the back, like right here, and push the product forward, because if you go front first, the product's going to be too heavy throughout the day and the hair is going to fall. That's the most important piece. You want the haircut and the style to last as long as possible. But thank you guys for sticking through this video. Like I said, it's going to get better. This is just my first one. I'm going to continue to push myself and to continue to just grow and better myself for this channel and for anyone that's watching. So thank you again, and that's the final style, final cut.